Hello, everyone, and I've got Stepanka Kuralova on the show today. So excited to have you on. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, glad you're here. First of all, start off with please introduce yourself to everyone and what do you do?
Thank you so much for asking. So my name is Stepanka. I actually come from the Czech Republic, but I've lived in England for the past, I don't know how many years, 8 years or even more. My other half is English, so I ended up living here. But career-wise, I am a clinical hypnotherapist. I am women's empowerment coach. I'm a healer. I have qualified in various different modalities over the year, and I am on a mission to empower other women and help them on their own journeys of healing, of reclaiming their power. And I always say I help my clients to glow from within, because that's literally what happens when you do the inner work and when you give yourself the attention and the care you need. You start glowing from the inside out. So that's my
Mm.
mission.
And if anyone is listening as well, it's that Stepanka is literally glowing from the inside out right now as well. And since obviously we met, you have this great energy about you. So thank you.
Oh, thank
Now,
you.
you've got a lot of there is a lot that you know in terms of what you've learned so far in your journey. And it takes someone to have personal experience in something to be able to do the inner work and shift the way that you do. So I'm sure there's a inner transformation story in there. So Sapanka, where did your journey all start?
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. And you are so right. Like every single tool I use in my practice, everything I teach is something which helped myself on my own journey. And I really believe this is like how I work in integrity and how I can be an example, a positive example to my clients as well. And my personal journey, like since I can remember, I was an anxious child. And then I was an anxious teenager as well. But like things would get worse and worse the older I was getting. So at grammar school, for example, I was already seeing a school counselor. But I loved it because, first of all, I was already into psychology, into therapy, into coaching, like at such a young age. I already was into all of it. But at the same time, I also needed help. Like I struggled with imposter syndrome. I felt like I was never good enough. And I felt like maybe, I shouldn't even be at this prestige grammar school. And then things got really worse when I got to university. My first year at uni was really hard because I felt ill all of the times. So the first couple of weeks were just so challenging. Like I had fever almost every other day. I had problems with my tummy. I would feel sick after every single meal. I would be like sweating. Like I couldn't even attend classes properly. And you would think like, a first year university student, I would be out and about and I would be probably drinking or meeting up with other students. But the opposite was true for me. I was in my, student flat. I couldn't really go out and I didn't understand what was going on. It was so frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And, time went by and things weren't getting better. So I ended up, going to see my doctor, and he referred me to various different specialists. And I went through so many different tests and examinations, and nothing was wrong with me. Nothing was wrong with my stomach, because we thought, it must be something with my stomach because I can't, digest any food. Everything makes me feel up, everything makes my stomach upset. And yeah, it was really challenging. And just, I was hoping there was going to be an answer to this. I was
Mm.
hoping there was going to be a diagnosis or something or an explanation, but there was none. And
Especially for someone that's like young and like it seems like you've had this going on for a while and it just got worse over time. um I'm curious, do you know, um at that time, where was the anxiety coming from?
mm, oh, that's such a good question. I don't know exactly, but I would always remember my parents say things such as, why aren't you confident? Like, why don't you believe in yourself more? Like, I always had this since I could remember. Like, I knew answers to questions at school, but I wouldn't put my hand up. Like, I was just so worried, so self-conscious all of the times. And I actually did have a teacher who bullied me in my first and second grade, which was quite impactful. You know, she like was labeling me as the bad, naughty child, which none of it was true. Honestly, I was such a good student always. I was always, you know, that kind of an archetype I would now call a good girl archetype. Like I was always a good girl. And yeah, so I feel that that must have been part of it because, you know, when you are so young, it's your first time at school and your teacher bullies you and labels you and, you know, points out things about you in front of everyone else, like that can have an impact.
Mm.
And the same thing happened again in my like seventh grade again. That was a different teacher. So I feel like these things were part of it, but I
Mm.
also feel like I was on my own journey and I needed to like learn to work through those things. I just didn't feel like I was smart enough, pretty enough, and yeah, just like I don't belong anywhere.
Yeah. And it's happened to me as well. I know, like, it's just so crucial, like the childhood and the imprints that different events or people have in our lives, and that can really impact us, whether it's negative or positive, depending on how you are and how you take things. So I can completely relate to that as well. In
Yeah.
terms of when you were fast forward to the university, when things were getting bad and the doctor was like, can't find anything, you're pretty normal, um, you said that you wanted to find out the answers. So
Yeah.
did you find out the answers, and how did you go about that?
Yeah, it was I like there was no clear explanation to anything that was happening. And then it was actually my granddad, because my granddad is a doctor, and he said, Stepanka, could it be that you are just really nervous and you are causing this for yourself? And I just remember getting really offended. I'm like, no, I wouldn't do it to myself. Like, no, I feel so cool. Like, you know, everything's under control. I love it at uni, which I did. But at the same time, like I was again, the same script was playing in my head. I'm not good enough to be there. Like it
Mm.
must be, you know, it was such a small course. They would take only 20 students every year. And I felt like, oh my God, everyone else is smarter. They all belong here. I don't. And it's so ridiculous because I was one of the 5 top students to get there through the examination process, which took ages. So I even had a tangible proof like, oh my God, like I'm smart enough to be here. But my answer to that would be, oh, maybe it was a mistake. Like maybe they didn't read through my test properly, or maybe I just picked the right answers and it was all a mistake. So that was just playing in my head, and I feared rejection. I feared saying the wrong thing, like all of it. Like I was, yeah, so insecure, so insecure. And I was causing this anxiety, or this anxiety was manifesting into different psychosomatic health problems. And honestly, I feel like the universe was just guiding me because I didn't know what to do about it. You know, even my granddad saying this and then me thinking about it later on at home, I'm like, but what do I do? Like, how do I fix any of this?
Mm.
And then almost like a miracle happened. And I'm just still got goosebumps every time I think about this, how perfectly all of this was guided, because part of this program which I was studying, like you had to have one sport class. It was just like for all students at this university, you needed to stay fit and attend a sport class. And I left it last minute because that was not an important subject, like all the main subjects were important. So I went. So a couple of weeks in, I logged into you know, the software on the internet, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna book myself in for something. I didn't know what for. So I was just searching through all the different options, and there was a swimming class. And I'm like, you know what? It's Wednesday in the evening. That works really well for me with my other subjects. Swimming, I like swimming. This will be easy. You know, I was just looking for something easy because sport is not like my kind of a thing.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna book myself in. And then I clicked on it and it like shut down. everything, including my laptop. And I'm like, what's going on? That's weird. So I
Mm.
turned my laptop back on. It had battery. I logged back in and I'm like, okay, it's still there. I'm gonna log in. The same thing happened again. Everything just shut down. And I'm thinking, what's going on? I just want to book myself in for this swimming class and
Mm.
have it done. Like I don't want to worry about this again. And then I'm like, oh, it says you are already booked for a sport class. And I'm like, what have I booked myself in for? I literally have no idea. And it was yoga. And it was Wednesday as well. It was Wednesday morning. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll just keep it because I've been always interested in trying yoga. And Wednesday morning works well for me. I don't have other classes. And I went there. And that very morning, things changed for me. When this yoga teacher
Wow.
walked into the room, she said, I have got something special for you guys today. Obviously, it's your first class. Most of you've never done yoga before, so we will do like 40 minutes yoga. And then I have got this recording, which I will play for all of you. And if you really like it, please let me know. I'm happy to share it. So we did yoga. I loved it anyway. I loved moving my body in that way. And then at the end, we had to lie down, wrap ourselves up in a blanket, and she played this recording. And it was in a way a hypnotic recording. It was a hypnosis, and it was just a simple one, very simple hypnosis that guided you into a powerful, relaxed state. And as I was following every step of the recording, doing all the different techniques, I'm like, this is something I need to explore. Like I am meant to be doing this. Like I can't explain it. It was definitely like something inside of me telling me, Stepanka, pay attention. This is really important. And I just had like full body chills. Like there was almost like it might sound quite esoteric, this part, but it's almost like I had a deep remembering, or like something within me knew like I need to explore this area. I had such a profound experience. And I went to see this teacher afterwards and I asked, like, can I have this recording? Like, I would really love to practice this more often. And I did. I did practice it every single day, in the morning, in the evening. And within a couple of days, all those stomach problems, fever, me sweating, like all of it went
Wow.
away completely.
This was in a couple of like a few days, did you say?
Yeah, a
Right.
few days. And it just got to show that I was like causing this for myself. Like it was literally just manifested anxiety.
Yeah. There's a lot of the times when that like energy or stuck energy gets built up, or it becomes like a program or habit in your body as well, that it can really come out in all different ways, as you said, manifest in the body in illness and all sorts of things that can't be explained. And
Yeah.
the recording, I'm really curious, how long do you think it went on for, that they played it?
Yeah, it was over 20 minutes. It was actually a longer one.
Yeah.
It was like the longest class we had because she kept us, to stay a little longer, but was amazing.
Uh-huh. So what actually happened? You said that you had body chills as well.
Yeah.
um do you remember, I guess, like uh what brought on all of that? Like, did you see anything? Was there any, like, how did you get that sensation?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I love your question, actually. That's such a good point. I never thought about it, but I remember it was like I was finally present in my body. It's
Mm.
almost like if you can imagine all of my energy being stuck up here in my head, and like all of it just dropped back into my body. And it was almost like I was thinking to myself, oh my God, like it can feel this good to just be present with everything that's inside of me, like even with all the emotions, all the fears, like, yeah. And yeah, and to this day, like I teach this to my clients, to be truly present in your body because it feels amazing. It honestly, like, it feels juicy to be you, to be fully present with all parts of yourself. And yeah, so that was my experience. It wasn't
Mm.
anything out of ordinary, if you like. It was literally just me realizing that by following those steps and by channeling my energy into a certain way or into certain techniques and tools, I can create this bliss for myself.
Isn't that so powerful? Something simple as being present in the moment can actually just change, I guess, anxiety into just peace, like inner
Yeah,
peace. Yeah.
I felt I felt like literally like inner peace and calmness within me, and it was beautiful. And I was so like amazed at how quickly things shifted. I ended up going back to this teacher, and she became one of my first mentors. And she would guide me through things. I would see her for a session here and there, and I ended up joining her private sessions as well, just with a small group of women. So she was very influential for me in that first year. I will be forever grateful.
Mm. And how perfect is that? How everything aligned with your laptop as well. And you magically got booked into that yoga class instead of the swimming.
I honestly don't know. Till this day, it was like, honestly, like it was guided.
Yeah. And it's so powerful as well that sometimes, we have to tune into what's going on around us. Like sometimes things are laid out and you just have to be able to follow that. There you go. So, in terms of you said it was like a hypnosis. Now, this is something that I think people would be quite curious about. I know I was when I was starting on this journey, and now I love it. But um, what's the difference between, because yoga, a lot of the times they introduce meditations. People are quite familiar with meditations and all of that. What's the core difference, do you find, from hypnotherapy or hypnosis versus meditation?
Yes. So I feel there obviously is a very fine line between these two on some occasions, but generally speaking, hypnosis is designed for you, for the problem you are struggling with. And if you work with someone on one-to-one, then they will use the right language to make sure that this is speaking directly to you, it is resonating with you, and it is targeting the areas which you are working on. So that's one thing. That's if you work with someone on one-to-one, they need to make sure they listen to your language, because then it will have a bigger impact on your subconscious mind. It needs to be speaking to you. It needs to resonate, and then the changes happen more quickly. But in let's say if you buy a recording of someone, hypnosis should be more targeted, more let's say specifically focusing on an issue. On the other hand, meditation is sometimes more open. It's more about just, let's say, bringing more calmness and peace into your life. It can be quite open that you are literally just focusing on your breath, and that's it. And that's beautiful. You feel calm and peaceful afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Hypnosis is more like pinpointing a thing you are working on, thing you want to achieve, or a thing you are working through, and it is way more structured. There is a way to how you put a hypnosis together. It has got a start, which in hypnosis we call an induction. Then there is a deepening process where you help your clients to go even more deeply into the process that's happening. You help them to let go, to lean back, to truly receive. And then there is the actual therapy bit in the middle, and this is where you are focusing on what it is that the client needs, but you always make sure you give them a bit extra. If if I can say it in that way, you want to make sure you also give them other very positive and inspiring suggestions that will support them along the way. And then there is the end bit, how you help your client to come back out of hypnosis. And again, if you are a good hypnotherapist, you will make sure you will put really good things in the end bit as well, helping your client to come back to themselves, feeling energized, feeling inspired and ready to slay the day. Have I answered your question? Is it making
That's
sense?
perfect. Yeah. Because it's one of those, like the way that once I experienced it is the difference is like, yeah, like you said, the meditation is like the practice of being present in the moment through, like you said, breath and calming and all of that. But then the hypnosis is more guided by the language. So it's like using the power of the language to direct the subconscious mind. Sometimes it can even help to access memories as well in the past, depending on what the person needs. Yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Because some people are like, oh, like I'm kind of scared that like I'm gonna get my mind controlled.
Mm.
Any insights into that side of things?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually feel it's really important to educate your clients first. Or let's say if you work online, if you have an online presence, then people who follow you, who are in your, let's say, online tribe. Because hypnosis is one of those modalities that's simply surrounded by so many myths and misconceptions that if clients don't know about how all of this works, it can hold them back. They might not be able to lean fully into the process. They might not fully open up to that beautiful guided process you are taking them on because there are some underlying fears. And if they are scared that perhaps you could control their mind, they won't get the full benefit of the process because they will be holding back. So it's really important to actually speak to potential clients first, and have the information available to them all so they can understand that it's actually due to the entertainment industry, media, films, different things we have been shown, why hypnosis is being surrounded by all of those misconceptions, because they are not true. Hypnosis is a down to earth therapy approach. It is safe. It is incredibly beneficial, and you are always in charge. It is not like you are in like a weird state when you don't even know what's going on. That's not true. I feel if anyone ever has had some kind of an experience that they woke up from hypnosis and don't remember don't remember anything, then it's probably because they fell asleep, which is also not the most helpful thing. So I always explain to my clients, like, if you fall asleep, like nothing happens, like it's okay, but you actually benefit way more if you are awake, if you are consciously doing all the steps your hypnotherapist or the recording is taking you on, unless it's a hypnosis recording for insomnia, for sleeping problems. Then you might be listening to it in your bed and fall asleep along the way, and that's fine, that's perfect. But let's say if it's hypnosis that will help you to grow your confidence or help you focus more, then you want to stay awake. Like, I don't have my clients lie down for most of the techniques I do. I have them to sit upright in their chair so they don't fall asleep, but they can still fully relax and they can get all the benefits. And that's another common misconception, like you need to be deeply, deeply relaxed to have benefits. Again, it's not true, because you can have athletes, marathon runners who practice hypnosis while running. Well, they are nothing but relaxed, They are engaging all of their muscles, they are physically active, and they can still be practicing hypnosis while running to help them stay motivated, to help them keep going, to have a positive mindset, to be saying the right things to themselves inside their minds.
Yeah, good tips. The thing is like, I know that people out there listening to this, and some of the people may really like to be in control. I know that for myself previously, people who work in quite structured environments, corporate, or they change to a business, like they can be quite structured and want to be in control of everything, in control of the planning. They get into planning mode and they're always projecting the future. So that's where a lot of the anxiety can come from, when you're thinking about the next thing rather than being in the present moment. When you mentioned before about through education, getting people prepared to like go through this process, when it comes to that side of themselves that goes, I want to try this, but then I have some hesitations, but I'll try it anyway, and I'll go and do it, and sit there and go through the session. But the letting go process, that is a challenge, right? Because they're like, oh, I'll listen to the words and whatever, but I'm not really getting the benefits. Do you have any advice or things in terms of what does letting go mean? How do you actually go into a session and just really lean into it and let the hypnosis guide you?
Yeah. So I think a lot of it can come down to safety and how safe you feel with the person you are working with. So really establishing a beautiful relationship and making sure the client feels safe and they themselves are in an environment which will support them, so you don't really want to be doing a hypnosis and one of your kids can come and disturb you or someone in the household. So even technical and logistic things like this can really help a client to feel safe, knowing they won't be disturbed, and also making sure they understand that hypnosis is safe. They are always in control if they want to. They don't have to accept any hypnotic suggestions that don't resonate. And also, I feel like with me personally, when someone starts working with me, they usually want to do that. They don't have the I try this mindset. They are usually I want a transformation. I'm ready to go all in. I want to work with my mind. I want to utilize all of this. And I don't think I've ever had this problem, to be honest. I feel like I always make sure we are the right match with my clients, that they resonate with me, and I am the right person to help them with whatever it is that they are going through and where they see themselves being in the future. So I feel that's one of those things, just really feeling safe, knowing that they are supported. And I always say, you can always let me know your feedback as well. And I will make sure that when I'm doing a hypnosis with someone for the first time, I will ask for their feedback throughout. I won't wait till the end of the session, but I will engage them while they are in hypnosis to give me feedback. What is it that they are going through? How are things feeling? Because it doesn't take you out of the state just by speaking. A lot of hypnotic techniques will actually have a dialogue between the client and the therapist as well. So I feel that's another great way to ensure, clients are, getting the full benefit from it. And another thing I actually need to point out as well is with hypnosis, it's almost like going to the gym. It gets easier and it gets better the more you practice. So let's say if someone does struggle to let go and relax, because let's say if someone's been anxious for a while and they have so much built up tension in their body, they might still be holding back a little.
So it's a process.
Yeah, and the more you practice, the easier it gets. And when I mentioned the structure of hypnosis and how there is this beginning, the induction process, the deepening process, it gets shorter and shorter. So if you have worked with someone for a while, they don't need as much time as someone who's starting out, because you can literally ask them, take yourself to that deeper hypnotic state that we have practiced before. And they can do that.
Yeah, so it's like a mind gym. Pretty much.
Yeah.
It is very much like you are practicing with your mind to relax and your body and everything.
That's it. So they can give themselves a command, they can imagine a word or something, and they can go deeply into the whole process. So it gets shorter and shorter.
Yeah, they can drop into their state and just, really take on the journey. I love that. I love how you've put that. One of the things that is I'm curious about is, now there's so many that I've also tried myself, but from you personally, what are some of the main challenges and things that people like to go and get, that hypnosis will actually benefit them with?
Yeah, so there are so many different ways in which hypnosis can help you. It is quite famous for helping people quit smoking and, eat healthy, move their body more often, and so on. But I personally don't do quit smoking hypnosis. It never resonated with me, and I always knew I'm here to empower women. I'm here to help other women to build their confidence, release their insecurities, work their way through anxiety, and really create the life they desire. I'm all about the soul mission, like really following your soul's calling and the path that's meant for you. So I've always been focusing more on those kind of things, such as anxiety, insecurities, deeper fears, different subconscious beliefs that hold you back from creating an amazing life and really following all of your desires, and for glowing from within. So these are the main things I focus on. I help my clients to achieve their goals. I help them to connect to their bodies and feel truly present. And, I help them to be okay with their emotions and how to support themselves when things get really hard in life as well. But generally speaking, and other applications of hypnosis I have done myself is pain management, helping clients to overcome either chronic pain or acute pain. I have prepared my clients for medical examinations, for smaller medical procedures as well, so they can guide themselves, into a place where they disconnect from what is happening and they don't feel the sensations, pain, and so on as much. So that's another great thing. Panic attacks, that's a good one. Phobias, deep rooted fears like that really hold clients back, like from even doing anything or speaking publicly. That's another good one. But there are just so many different ways you can go to see a hypnotherapist with a skin condition, to boost your immunity. There is just so much beautiful evidence showing that it can support you in so many different ways.
Yeah, it's very wide ranging. I think it's one of those really niche things as well, where maybe people don't really realize like how many benefits or how many areas of life it can actually address, because it is more focused rather than being general in the, I guess, the meditation side of things. So that's awesome. I want to go into, you spoke a lot about emotions and like the women empowerment and the anxiety and all of that stuff. A lot of people experience that. I myself, every time I go through something new, right now I'm building this business, like it's you're getting like so many different emotions each day. Where does emotions come from, and how do we get rid of it?
Well, that's a good question, and I'll start literally just here. We can't get rid of it. We are human beings, and it comes with feelings. Because if you think about it, if we were to remove our emotions, what would life be about? It is the beautiful emotional moments that, make our life more vibrant, more real. It is the love we feel for other people. It's the joy which I feel when I work with my clients. Like, these are such important things in our life, and getting rid of emotion or disconnecting from emotions, or let's say suppressing them and really like, I don't really want to feel this disconnects you from all of your emotions, not just the bad feeling ones, but all of your emotions. So if you try suppressing anger, rage, sadness, well, you are suppressing happiness, joy, bliss, pleasure. So we need to understand it works both ways. And this is why suppressing our emotions never works long term. I am so passionate about this. And my early days of me exploring all of this was in my early 20s, when I had a lot of health problems, gynecological health problems. I had cysts on my ovaries. I was in so much pain. And I had honestly severe hormonal problems, and it was holding me back. It was one of the darkest years in my life when I felt depressed and really struggled, like, am I ever gonna get through it? Like, none of the hormonal treatments were working. And this is when I started practicing what I now call emotional alchemy, really being okay with the emotions you are feeling. And it doesn't come naturally to us, because as children, we get told, don't cry, put a brave face on, or if you stop crying, I'll give you a piece of cake. Our
Mm.
parents, we don't blame them for this. They didn't know any better. But it's like we get bribed into not crying by
Yeah.
having a piece of cake. And this is why so many people end up binge eating, emotional and stress eating when they are adults, or they have the odd glass of wine to just take the edge of the day, just because they don't know how else to unwind, how else to process that build up stress from their workday. And I was in so much emotional pain, like thinking I'm not going to get through those health problems that I was experiencing.
Mm.
And that's when I started practicing, like, I don't have to fight those emotions. I don't have to suppress them. I can allow them to come up to the surface. And I need to trust that my body knows how to deal with it. And this is what I teach in emotional alchemy, really tapping and utilizing the tools that you naturally have. Like, your body is equipped to handle sadness. But there
Mm-hmm.
is a whole process to it of deconditioning, of learning to trust and feel safe in your body. So many of us don't feel safe. Like, we feel,
Mm.
if I let this sadness to be felt, maybe I'll never get through it. Maybe it will stay with me. But actually, the opposite is true.
Yeah. And that's the thing about emotional suppression as well,
Mhm.
is that not allowing ourselves to like be sad, or accepting that we can be sad. That's also like rejecting your opportunity to be joyous as well, because there's two sides of the pendulum, right? Like you like, the
Yeah.
lower you go with your emotions, the more you can experience the highs as well. It's like a both ways. Whereas some people, I guess, like if they really want success, like when it comes to empowerment and they want confidence and all these things, but then they're not willing to open the door to allow themselves to experience all that suppression and really open all that up, then it's difficult to experience the highs of all the joy and the extent that they want it. Like, some people, I know a lot of people come to me and they're like, I feel numb, and I don't know what to do, and I just don't want to feel, I just want to feel, essentially. What's your I guess, like, how do you help these people out when they actually say that they can't feel anything?
Yeah, yeah, I love that, because this is literally what happened in the first round of emotional alchemy when I ran it for the first time. I had loads of women who joined because they don't know how to handle emotions. They don't really know how to handle difficult scenarios when something comes up with their partner and so on, or in general. But then I also had clients who joined in because they're like, I just feel disconnected. Like, I just feel numb, and I want to be enjoying the moments I have with my family, but I just don't feel as connected to it. And again, it comes down to bringing yourself back home into your body. Very simply explained, really building that safety within you so that you trust yourself enough to feel emotion. It is about bringing a high level of self-awareness into your daily life, really checking in with yourself, how you feel from a moment to moment, and also um, really exploring how different things make you feel. It's almost
Mm.
like an experiment. And
Mm.
I also find that when client feels numb, it's because they have, at some point on their path, they have disconnected on purpose, whether it happened consciously or unconsciously. It could
Mm.
be due to trauma, whether it is a little T trauma or a big T trauma, like a highly traumatic experience. Like, you then disconnect yourself because you're like, I don't want to feel this level of pain again. I'm gonna keep myself safe, I'm gonna protect myself, and I'm gonna disconnect from it whatsoever. And this is when then we feel numb, because it's a protection mechanism, it's a coping mechanism, because we didn't know how else to cope with pain, for example. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of disconnection as well, I can see that really affecting when when there are positive events that are happening and the person is not really experiencing, like if it's someone's birthday or some celebration, they don't feel connected to the joy in that celebration, or they don't know that when they achieve something, how to celebrate or how to feel about celebrating. So they kind of stay just in the middle.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, this could be what I've just shared, but also when this happens, it could be also for a reason that sometimes people fear, like if I celebrate, if I give myself all of this joy, like I worry it will be taken away. I'm really afraid like something will happen and this success will be gone tomorrow. So I will protect myself again. It's all about
It's all
unconsciously
about safety.
protecting yourself. Yeah, like
Yeah.
so I'm gonna protect myself in this way to not allow myself to feel it. So if it does disappear, I'm not gonna feel disappointed. And the disappointment is such a deep emotional wound, and we are so often running away from it unconsciously by not fully experiencing life. And the reason why I always say emotional alchemy is actually the most important skill on the planet is because when emotional alchemy or emotional intelligence, if you like, is lacking, we are constantly self-sabotaging our own success because we don't have the emotional ability to process both if it goes really well and we succeed, and also the flip side of it. How will I deal with a rejection? How will I deal with failure? And I
Mm.
find, I have clients who are business owners starting out, who have had their business for a while, or women who are at home with their kids, stay-at-home moms, women working in the corporate world. And, they have all very different lives, but they all find themselves in it, whether it's, in a romantic relationship where the emotional alchemy is missing and they are sabotaging their success there, or whether it is in their business, or whether it's with children when they lose it completely.
Mm. I love how you really just emphasize on the safety and like the protection side of things, because a lot of the emotional suppression is to do with not feeling safe. So like
Yeah,
you said, even with the hypnosis, like going through a session, it's all about, helping the client or whoever it is in front of you feel safe.
yeah,
And then they are able to open up. The same thing
yeah.
with like emotions, allowing your emotions to then open up to whatever events you're surrounded by. But yeah, it is I like that you pointed out the even the positive side as well of that. We do, what about the fear of loss? There's like fear of gaining and then there's fear of loss. There's like two sides.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I don't think many of us realize it until we get to it. Like I remember even such a simple example as like earning money. Like even that can feel uncomfortable. Like I remember hitting my biggest month in my business, and the first time ever, and it like was way more than I was earning in my 9 to 5 job before. So it was like, oh my God, I've never been in such a situation that actually this money came to me through my business, and I felt so uncomfortable. All of a sudden those fears came up because I felt uncomfortable in having that success I used to dream about, if that makes sense.
Mm.
And even that's about your emotional intelligence, how you are able to hold yourself through the highs as well, because we think we want it, but when we get to it, like it can feel uncomfortable. It can feel almost like, can I even hold it energetically? And the
Yeah.
same happens with failure. Like, we sometimes don't want to fail because, like, I fear I won't be able to handle it. This is
Or
happening on
get
a
back up.
subconscious level.
Mm-hmm.
So I will make sure I sabotage my success so I don't even put myself into such a scenario. And this happens subconsciously.
Yeah. And I'm like even imagining that people would, when it comes to love, that's something that would come up as well when you wanting this relationship for a long time and you're finally with this person and you're like, is this the one or not? Like, and you can't energetically hold the space. So then you don't give it the full opportunity of like allowing yourself to love because you fear it. It's
Yeah.
either love or fear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally. So it can happen that you actually sabotage it because you like, oh, I don't want to feel this love, because what if it doesn't work out and then I'm heartbroken and we don't trust ourselves that we will be able to handle it. So we will do something to spoil it, to mess it up before we even give it a chance. Or it could look like, oh my God, this relationship feels really good. Everything is beautiful. And then, my client starts picking on fights and like causing problems just
Like too
because it
good.
feels,
Just got to pick something.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So like the subconscious mind is like freaking out, like, let's do something.
It's uncomfortable, right? To be in either a fear situation or a love situation if you don't give
It is.
yourself permission.
Yeah, and success and anything else. And I always call this the normalizing process. It's like a hypnosis process I created myself a couple of years ago, really helping my clients to open up to receiving all of this, really normalizing the highs in their life. Because, I always say, like, it's almost like you make those things like no big deal. Because, a success can feel scary all of a sudden. So it's almost like teaching your nervous system, teaching your body and your mind that this is okay, that it's safe for us to experience all of those beautiful things. It's okay to receive it. And that, I call it the new normal technique. Like, it becomes your new normal for your nervous system.
Yeah. So there's always sort of like you need to adjust as well at each situation. Because if, like, for example, for you, when you were saying about earning the money as well and reaching the new high, there's one way you said, like, you could self-sabotage and not hold it energetically. But then there's also the other side where people might really get into their ego to be like, I am God, and like, I earned all this, like, and I am everything. And then because they go so high, like they're not grounded or being in the new normal, they're like, woo, like all the way on the other side or positive. That can even have a negative effect. Like if they change so much, and let's say they, around them, the people around them see them that go through that, that someone will try and put them back into balance in a sense. I'm just saying, like, potentially if you go like really extreme in one direction, you also may experience really extreme in the other direction as well.
Yeah, it's literally like a pendulum. And when a pendulum swings far to one end, it's bound to swing the other way. So it will go from one extreme to the other. And I find emotions are exactly the same. Like, if you suppress your emotions and you don't, voice your needs, and you hold back forever and you bite your tongue over and over again, and you are suppressing it with yourself, with other people, well, that's one extreme. The pendulum will swing all the way to the other side, whether it looks like an extreme emotional overwhelm and you feel like, oh my God, I'm just so overwhelmed by all of this, I cannot even handle it, or whether it looks like erupting like a volcano in front of other people and, really yelling and just taking it on the wrong people.
Yeah. So it can be many extremes. Okay. You spoke about deconditioning. So what does that mean? How do we do that?
Yeah, so deconditioning when it comes to emotions literally means about learning to accept them. Learning to, so many of us have not been taught what to do when an emotion arises. How do I handle it? And kids can feel very confused by emotions when they don't have the right guidance. And this is how many of us learned to suppress our voices, our emotions. So I always, like, let's say in my programs, in my work, I help my clients to actually release all of it. You need to learn that there is no such thing as a bad or negative emotion. It's just an emotion. It's an information that you are receiving from your body, and it can help you grow. It can help you take your success to the next level in whatever way that looks like. So almost like releasing all of those beliefs we've been taught about emotions, about ourselves, knowing that, like, your beliefs is everything. Like, it's literally what runs your reality. And I would say part of the deconditioning is like learning something new and learning that actually it can be different. And I usually use hypnosis or emotional freedom technique, tapping, if you ever heard of it, as one of the tools to help them.
Okay. Yeah, fascinating. Yeah, so accept your emotions, all of it, whether it's, and maybe even not really view it whether it's negative or positive. It's an emotion that's you
Literally,
experience. Yeah.
it's an emotion. Don't label it as bad or good, because then we create a sneaky link between it. If I'm experiencing a good emotion, I'm a good person. If I'm feeling something bad, such as anger, it means I must be a bad person. So we almost like create a whole identity based on these things. So this is why I so believe in this work, because you are not your emotions, you are not
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts, you are way, way, way more than any of this. And you are just having a human experience. And, everything in life comes with a duality. Like, there is duality in everything. You can experience the good things and the flip side of it. And I feel that when we truly master emotional intelligence, we trust ourselves enough so that we don't hold ourselves back. Like, I trust myself either way. If it's gonna fail, I know I will be able to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm gonna succeed, I trust myself. My nervous system will know how to handle the joy, how to handle all of this.
So key. Yep. And just knowing that, I guess, everything's okay and it's going to be okay as well, and
Yeah.
accepting that.
Even this shall pass,
Mm-hmm.
like really just having even that mindset that like I'm strong enough for all of this.
Human beings are like one of the strongest, creatures or mammals on the planet. We get through so much. We have so much resilience. But I think sometimes we, based on the beliefs and based on the upbringing and all that, we don't acknowledge it enough. But we're stronger than we think we are.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Stepanka, what are you working on these days?
Well, thank you for asking. I'm always working on a lot of things. If anyone is familiar with human design, I'm a manifesting generator. I love to juggle loads of projects at the same time. And I'm always a busy bee in the best way because it brings me joy, it lights me up. So I am currently working on launching another round of emotional alchemy. In the next couple of months, there will be another live round. So it's not actually just a self-study program, but it's live with me. And I'm bringing in like loads of new tools, loads of new things. And I cannot wait because it's where my heart is, so deeply. I'm working with my one-on-one clients, on
Mm-hmm.
a regular basis. And that just brings me so much joy as well. And I am working on a creative project of mine as well, which I will be probably revealing next year. So I can't tell you too many details.
Oh, okay. We'll wait till next year, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So yeah, if where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
Oh, yeah, I would love to connect. Like, if you resonated with this episode, if you enjoyed it, please share with us your takeaways. Like, it always brings me so much joy. And you will find me on Facebook. I have a Facebook community which is free. It's called New Earth Women, and it's online sisterhood. So I share videos there. I do EFT tapping sessions there for free. I answer questions. There's always inspirational content happening within the group, and within the sisterhood, so many women connected and made friends. So I'm just so proud of that sisterhood. It's my baby. It's something I started a couple of years ago, and yes, so proud of how it's growing and where it's going.
Mm.
And I'm also on Instagram at New Earth Woman. And so that's another place where you can tag me in your story if you enjoy this episode. It's where you can message me. Feel free to reach out on either platform. And I
Beautiful.
also have my own podcast called the Inner Glow podcast. And that's where I share my thoughts and downloads and different ideas that comes through. There are also hypnosis recordings on the podcast and way, way more.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. We will. I will drop all the show links in the show notes. But now, come to sort of the end of the episode. I always like to ask a couple of questions before I let you go, because we're all about fulfillment, right? And lots of people are on that journey. At this stage of your life, with where you are at, what does fulfillment mean to you?
Being true to myself, being true to what, arises within me, whether it means, there is an emotion that needs to be processed, being true what I truly desire, like really following my desires and being present with it, not just chasing one goal after the other, but truly savoring every single moment in your day. I truly embrace this. I call it the everyday magic. Like I will have a magical morning routine and just enjoying every sip of my hot drink and just being present with everything that is.
Wonderful. And since you've mentioned it, imagine that you've savored like all the moments and had all the magic in your life and all of your desires manifest, and you've experienced a full life. But at the end of it, there comes a day where there is a last day on earth for you. So if it was your last day on earth, what would be the message that you would like to send to everyone?
Wow, that's a big question. I definitely would say just really like what I've already shared, like be present with it all. Don't chase one thing after the other. And if something doesn't feel good, if you are stuck in a job that is not fulfilling, if you are in a relationship that's hurting you, if there is some kind of a toxic environment you are finding yourself in, change it. Like honestly, even if you feel like you are too old for any of it, follow your heart. Like you get to have it all. You get to feel good. You get to feel experience bliss. So don't ever settle.
Beautiful words. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate all your wisdom and value, and just you sharing your story and being really present in this moment with me.
Thank you so much. Honestly, I've loved every minute of this episode, and you are such an incredible host. So thank you for making it so special.
Thank you.